Welcome to the Talking Single Podcast, a podcast featuring 4 single and successful black women living in London. Join us each week as we share our stories and our experiences, the highs and lows of navigating life, love, and everything in between. Oh, and we do all that with a good dose of humour and a whole lot of style. I'm Keysha, the fun-loving unromantic, your host for today. We hope you enjoy this week's podcast. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Talking Single Podcast. Today's topic is, do good girls carry last? Hosting today is me, Keysha, the fun-loving unromantic. And here with me is Crystal, the recovering love addict. Hey, Crystal.
Hi, everyone.
Hi. We've got Ribi, the cautious romantic.
Hello. Hello.
And we've got Rasheeda, whose heart is recently reopened for dating.
Yeah. Oh, you've forgotten single and ready to mingle.
Oh, yeah. Single and ready to mingle.
Yeah, so she says. She hasn't done any mingling since. She's been saying it.
That's actually true.
Well, you don't know, actually. Maybe I'm keeping
know.
on the wraps.
Have you mingled with anybody? Confess. Oh, yeah, talk.
You guys have no idea. Or maybe I'm just keeping things on the wraps.
Yeah, you liar.
Talking about mingling.
Yes.
Talking about mingling, Keysha.
Yes.
Tell us, how's Bumble going?
Bumble's interesting.
Any
I had my
dates?
first call today. I've not had any dates. Yeah, I had a call.
There are too many men. She can't decide.
There are too many men. There are too many men on Bumble. So that it's like quite an interesting. I didn't expect it to be that way. So it's quite interesting.
I had the pleasure of listening to the call.
Mm-hmm.
This one is not stone cold anymore.
I think I was fun and flirty. What do you think?
She was like, hi.
There you go.
Oh my God. Wait, hold on. I'm about to pass out. Fun and flirty. You?
She was flirting.
There you go. So it might be, next season it might be fun and flirty Keysha. So,
Yeah.
just wait for it. So today's guest is Calvin from the Midlife Crisis Podcast. Hello, Calvin. Tell us a bit about you.
Hello. How are you?
Hi. Good to have you.
Well, I don't have a tagline. I mean, you guys got all great taglines.
Yeah.
I would say mine is married and locked down and married. Maybe that's
I love it.
That's a good one. It's a good one.
on a short leash.
Lockdown, married, and on a short leash.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I love it.
I couldn't fit it all into Zoom here, but
That's brilliant. Oh wow.
Oh.
Okay, so what do you think about today's topic about good girls carrying last? And by good girl, what I'll define that is every society's fantasy of what a good girl is, as in she's come from a good home, maybe she's a virgin. I don't know, maybe she hasn't had a lot of partners, has single, never been married. The quintessential good girl.
Right.
Yeah.
So kind of just like a stereotypical never been touched kind of thing.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a bit played out. I don't know if you guys use that lingo over there still, but that's played out.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think that goes way back. If you're looking historically about older men marrying younger women because they're pure, they're virgins, and it's like property, right? I'm the first one here, which I think a lot of men are into that, feeling like they're the first ones to teach this woman anything, and obviously there's a lot of sexual connotation behind all of that, but not very realistic. Also, I think that there's a lot of control there too. It's, you want to kind of control what this woman is going to look like, be into. And then remember, historically, women weren't allowed to divorce and all of these things if we're looking at, different cultures and religions with that kind of. So I think that's where the whole concept comes from. But I think in today's day and age, number one, it's unrealistic, and it's not. And number two, do you really want that? I mean, do you really want somebody who's totally inexperienced in life, love, sex, different things? Right. Exactly. I mean, I want to hear about it, but I'd like to know that you may have done a few things before. And this, I'm not. I haven't to teach you everything,
And I
but
totally agree with that. I mean, my perspective is, I think the good girls, maybe the quote unquote good girls who have probably less experience, would also have less experience talking to guys maybe of the opposite sex, and being comfortable around them. And for that reason might not necessarily be in situations where they can meet guys in general. That's my perspective on that, actually. That's why the topic interested me.
I mean, I think, and this is just my personal opinion, but I think any man who's still into that probably has a lot of insecurity issues. You're probably worried about her finding something better, you not measuring up. You probably, have this need to control, which I think would come from feelings of insecurity. I mean, I've known people throughout my life. I wouldn't call them friends, but, acquaintances, guys that are like, oh, well, I make enough money and my wife is at home. And it's like, did she, like, why is that such a prize for you? If that's what she wants, great. But it's this overly macho type of thing where, I make money, my wife stays home and takes care of the kids. It's like, it's not 1960 anymore. That's not, so what? Maybe that's not what she wants. And why is it the first thing you're telling me? I haven't seen you in 10 years. You know what I mean? Like, you're way too proud of that fact. So
I believe it. What do you
I think there'd be a lot of that in there.
Do good girls carry love?
Do you know, I have such an issue with that statement on so many levels. Like, the idea of what is a good girl is a girl that is pure. I completely reject that 100%. If it is about, if it's about, it's a girl that, has values, respects herself, won't settle for just anything, wants to make her choice in what she wants to do. I don't believe that those kinds of good girls carry last. If that's what we mean by, if we mean by good girl, we mean a virgin. I don't actually subscribe to that being the definition of a good girl. So it really depends on what we mean by a good girl. If it's about a woman who makes her own choices and does not want to follow the crowd, and she kind of wants to live her own truth, then she's, by definition, she's not carrying last. She's living her truth. She knows her worth, and she's waiting for someone that deserves her. So she's never going to carry last. Do you see what I mean? That's kind of that's my logic.
Okay. I like that.
That makes a lot of sense to me. I agree with all of that. I mean, I don't think that there's no, when you say last, there's no time frame on when you're supposed to be married. I know a lot of people do that and say, oh, I want to be married by 30 or whatever it is. And I think anytime you're kind of getting into that range where you've put a deadline on something, you start to get desperate and you start to look at things differently. I told a girl years ago who was, she was like 26 at this time and worried about getting married. I'm like, relax. Like, you're so young, you don't have to worry about it. And the thing is, I told her, when you're super hungry, right? When you've gone hours without eating, you'll grab whatever. You just go grab some McDonald's. You don't care if it's good for you or not, and then afterwards you regret it. You're like, I should have eaten before, or I should have waited for something better. You know what I mean? You never want to enter into a relationship for those reasons, and to say, okay, we need to be married in 2 years. I need to have kids by this, and to Ribi's point, I think if you're living your life, you're building your career, whatever it is you're doing, and that person just hasn't come along yet, he's just not there yet. you haven't met that guy yet, or you haven't met the one who's willing to go where you're going. So
that's true.
Don't sweat it.
Love it. What do you think, Kristen?
Yeah, I agree with Ribi. I guess it depends on who's talking and what their definition of a good girl is. But there's this horrible, disgusting, nasty narrative going round at the moment about, women who are 34 should have got married when they were 24. They're 10 years over the time that they should have got married. And now it's almost like you want a good man, or you want to, in the words of these people, you want a high value man, but there are other girls who want them. So there's this horrible narrative going on, and it's so disgusting and it annoys me so much. But women seem to be buying into it. So do these young boys. And it's this narrative. What does a man want? What does a man want? He wants a good wife who can take care of the children, who's submissive, that submissive word, who's 24 with probably perky boobs and has not been touched too much. But it's going around a lot these days, I'm seeing, and it annoys the hell out of me. That word submissive in itself gives me a headache. I hate that word so much. It just doesn't agree with my spirit. So I have a really big, what's the word, with this narrative.
Yeah. And actually that takes me to what I even wanted to caveat this episode with, that, there's gonna be, this is like trigger warning to all the single ladies out there, because we're gonna be asking questions from a married man who's gonna give us his perspective. And if you're still single, hopefully this won't trigger you in any way, or especially depending on what your own goals are, and hopefully it will give you some insight that, it's about doing things that's right for you at the right time, not necessarily about society in general. And sometimes we just need to stay away from social media on that, because there's a lot of toxic conversations out there at the moment, especially with regards to women and relationships, and Crystal hit it on the head by saying, women should be submissive and looking after the kids. And that whole narrative's come up again quite recently a lot on social media. So yeah, let me just caveat this episode just a little bit with like trigger warning, Yeah.
Parental advisory.
Exactly. So can I rock up straight to the first question?
Yeah, let's go for it.
All right. So Calvin, how did you know that she was the one?
Actually, can I ask something as part of that? I'm sorry to hijack your episode, Keysha. Did you think there was anything like the one before you knew she was the one? Is there anything like the one?
So you like a love at first sight kind of thing, like you just, fireworks when you meet somebody? I can't say that I believed in that. What I will say is I always wanted a partner. I never wanted to be one of these guys. That's like when Crystal used the word submissive, I cringed. Like, you want a wife or you want a pet? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? I've had 2 dogs. I expect them to listen to me when I speak. When I say, yo, sit, you got to sit. Like that's not how your spouse should be treated, right? But when my wife and I actually met at work, and initially it was just conversation at work. I actually met her on her first day at the job. I walked into the office where she was working, and she was there by herself. So I sat down and I had a conversation with her, and she was very quiet, very, into herself. She come to find out she's an introvert, but I felt bad just kind of walking in and walking out. So I had a conversation for a while, and I left thinking like, oh, she's cute and all of this. But I was like, so first day. So I don't want to be that guy. You know,
It's
I don't want to
cute
be
that you put her under your wing and like, I'll look after you in this office.
No, nothing like that. Nothing like that.
Show you
I
the
actually,
coffee where the coffee room is.
yeah. Don't worry, girl. I got you. I'll show you where they keep the good coffee. You know, nah. I kind of actually went the opposite because I didn't want to be viewed as one of those guys. Oh, the new girl at work, let me hit on her. And
Right.
I'm sure there was plenty of that. I've seen plenty of that, you know, in all workplaces. But so I said, you know what, I'm kind of back off, let her get her bearings and all of this stuff. And over the course of a few months, we struck up a friendship where we would chat. We maybe grab lunch in the cafeteria. She passed by my desk and we talked for a while. And I felt like, okay, I'm interested. This girl's interesting. We had good conversation. I asked her out a couple of times and she said no twice. So
Okay.
I said, all right, maybe she just wants to be friends, you know, and which is totally cool. But, you know, fella, you got to shoot the shot to know.
Yeah.
Right. So I asked a couple of times and she said no. So I said, all right. And then she had to go away for a few months. And that when I knew that I was interested in her I was like, I missed those conversations. I missed talking to her. And it was as simple as that. And then when she came back, I said, I'm interested. I got to give this one final shot. So she's at my desk one day and we're talking. And I said, hey, what are you doing tonight? Nothing. You want to grab dinner? And she said, yes. And I was like, word? You know, it wasn't one of those movie things where you're like, you play it off. I couldn't play it off at all. I really was like, really? And she was like, yeah. I was like, okay, cool. I made reservations right away. I'm like, don't change your mind.
Did you have your tuxedo at the bottom in your bottom drawer? So as soon as she said yes, she puts you on and you're like, she can't change her mind again.
No, but this was the early 2000s. I probably had some cool water in the drawer, just, you know.
Oh yeah. Oh, wow.
So, you know, at least I was gonna smell good. Or
yeah,
you know.
to me that's like true romance, like the slow burn and then pow.
Yeah, exactly. I, you know, reel it in. Yeah, reel it in. Yeah, and then when you get it on the boat, bang. Yeah. No, but after we went on a couple of dates, and it really just took off quickly after that. You know, after 2 dates, I started spending time at her apartment, and honestly, we just sat and talked for hours and hours and hours. We really just spent a lot of time doing that, and during the course of those conversations, I knew that she was going where I wanted to go in life. You know, this is somebody that had traveled. This is somebody whose father was in business and she understood business. And I just had this feeling she was going to get there, whether I was there or not. And I knew this was the life I wanted to have. I said, hey, we can do this together. It took maybe a couple of months and I knew she was the one after maybe 90 days.
Oh, wow. I mean, actually, you know what? There's the third question I want to ask you. I'm going to bring it up now. It's like, did you always want to get married, or was it only after you met her that you were like, you know what, this, you know, let's get married?
No, I always envisioned myself married with kids, the traditional family. I mean, my parents were married for a long time. It's just the natural thing. I was never against it. I never had a thing where like, I'm definitely not getting married. I think like every guy, you say, well, I'm not getting married till I'm 30, you know, because you want to have your time to do your thing. And then I ended up getting married at 26. So that was the only thing that didn't really, you know, go according to plans, you know, per se. But no, I always knew I wanted a wife and a family and to do that. So I just didn't think it would be that early, to be honest.
And how long have you been married now?
We're celebrating 14 years next week.
Wow.
Bravo.
That's amazing.
Bravo.
Thank you.
Yeah. And during your first few conversations with your wife, what were the things you said you realized that she was going places? And I would imagine there were certain things in your mind that were important to you. What were those things about her that were important that she kind of fit into, if that's the right word?
She was motivated, and she had a plan for her life. She knew excuse me, she knew what she wanted. And this is somebody I could tell she was just serious about succeeding and about she had drive, you know. Like I said, I always, the only thing I said, I didn't know what my wife was going to look like or anything like that. I had no visions for any of that, but I just knew I wanted a partner. I didn't want somebody that just wanted to stay home and take care of kids and not work and just kind of be, you know, a side piece, you know what I mean? Just kind of be an accessory to me. That's not what I wanted. And I knew she was definitely not that. She was somebody who was, like I said, she was going to get there whether I was there or not.
Yeah.
You know, and it was like, hey, let me hop in this car with you. Let's do it together. Maybe we get there faster, you know.
But then it seems that you, as a man, knew what you wanted from a partner very early on in life.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, my parents had a great marriage for a long time. And, you know, my dad worked. My mother was a stay-at-home mom for a long time, but then she also got back into the workforce when we got older. And I always saw that two people bringing something to the situation. And my brother and I were raised like that too, where, I mean, it's just two boys. So we did chores, right? It was, you know, before we could watch cartoons on Saturdays, get up, clean your room. We each got a floor. We mopped, we swept, vacuum, make the bed, do laundry, whatever it was. And which is why now in my marriage, I don't look at anything as that's her job or my job, right? If it needs to get done, it gets done. Yeah. So she cooks, I wash up. If the floor needs to be vacuumed and she's doing something, I'll do it. You know what I mean? That's how I was raised, and that's how it's always been. So I've always looked at it as it's a team. It's a team, right? The job needs to get done. Whoever does it, doesn't matter. You know, she has out-earned me for most of our relationship. She's very successful in her job, and she's made more money than me. That would bother a lot of guys, you know?
Yeah.
Doesn't bother me because
you're a team, you're a unit.
Yeah, but yeah, however it gets there, it gets there. And you know what? She's really good at what she does, and I'm happy to allow her to do that and be the guy who's not going to make that difficult for her, and just kind of, hey, I support you. If you need to be up late at night working, I mean, vacations we've taken, she's had to take phone calls. I don't get in the way of that because that's her doing what she's always wanted to do.
Yeah. And so are you all taking notes, ladies? You need
So why do you think some men have an issue with that? Because for you, it's not a problem that she's out-earned you. Both of you are able to pull your weight in the marriage, but you realize that, and I think you mentioned it earlier on, many men want women that's submissive. They cannot even accept a woman who is earning the same as them, not to talk of how her out-earning them. Why do you think men have that thing?
Well, I think we all have a bit of macho thing about us, right? I think men inherently, we're here to provide and protect. And I'm not going to go as far to say all men who would have an issue with their wife out earning them, maybe insecure or ego. I think there's a lot of that. But, you know, there were times where I didn't necessarily feel bad that she was out earning me, but I felt like as the man who's supposed to provide and protect, maybe I wasn't doing enough. So I tried to find other ways to do that. So, okay, so maybe it's not financial, but you know what? Let me handle other parts of the relationship and let me take some of this off your plate. But I think it's not, I'm not going to say it's always easy. And a lot of guys probably who have, you know, we all have an ego. And I think sometimes you need to check that and understand, well, is this good for us or not? You know what I mean? And it was good for the relationship that she was doing what she was doing. And also, I'm not going to be the guy to hold her back. That's the exact opposite of what I came in here for. You know, I never wanted to be somebody to stop her from achieving what she wanted to achieve. So I just think as a man who may be in that situation, I had a very good career as well. You know, I did very well, and it benefited the both of us. I never felt like because she made more, I was less of a man. And I think you've got to that's what a guy in that situation, you have to be conscious of that your manhood shouldn't be determined by whether or not how much money you make. Period.
Yeah. I mean, I think you've already sort of said it in so many words, but just because one of our on Instagram, somebody asked a question, what do you value most about your partner?
What I value most, I mean, she is just,
You know she'll be listening, so you have to give me.
Give it to Calvin.
So you mean there's no edits, there's no do-overs?
No.
There's no do-overs?
No.
Oh man, I mean, no, I've always just appreciated her drive and her ambition. I mean, now because of the pandemic, we both work at home, and I'll be honest, I sit there and I just marvel at listening to her work sometimes, the way she's just on it all the time, and she's just highly intelligent. And she never believes me when I tell her. I'm like, but when I hear her speak at work and talk to people, like, I get attracted to that. That turns me on way more than anything else. Just listen to her be smart is like, I just look at her, I'm like, damn, girl.
Yeah, you get him, girl.
Like, no, but I appreciate the fact that we talk about all kinds of things. She's intelligent, and you can have an intelligent conversation with her about almost anything. Yeah. I see other couples, like I said, friends that I had in high school and stuff like that, and these guys are bragging about, like I said earlier, oh, my wife doesn't work. She was a receptionist. No disrespect to receptionists, right? But it's not like she was earning a ton of money where you're like, you've done so well, like, because, and he's saying that like that's his accomplishment. You know what I mean? Like that's the problem, and it's like, well, do that when your wife wants to, because they had a couple of kids and she stayed home. So financially probably made more sense for her to be home because of daycare and all of that. So let's stop playing it like as if you're the Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah.
And and you just snap your fingers like, yeah, girl, I got this. Don't worry about it. Like, give me a break, bro.
No, but that's so true. Like, sometimes it makes financial sense for somebody to want to, somebody to stay at home and look after the kids, because childcare is like, man,
that's no joke.
No joke. It's no joke.
Not at all.
What's the most challenging thing about being married? Yeah, this is flipping it a bit.
Yeah. No.
She's still listening.
She's still listening. The best and the most challenging thing is the fact that everything that makes her great also can be challenging. She's headstrong. So am I. And sometimes it's like, you've seen those National Geographic videos with the two rhinos, just, that will happen. You have two people who are driven, who are headstrong, who, quite frankly, stubborn at times. That's going to happen. I mean, we've had disagreements where it goes on for days sometimes, you know what I mean? But I think the most challenging thing, but also to flip it to say the best thing, is you are constantly changing as a person. You're I mean, we've been together all in all probably 16 years now, almost 14 married. I'm not the same guy I was when we got married. And she's not the same woman she was then either. You're constantly growing and maturing and having to not only realize that in yourself, but also the other person, right? You have to grow with them and understand what they may be going through and be able to relate to that. So it is a challenge, because sometimes you'll be like, well, you didn't used to like this, or it didn't used to bother you, but you know what? I'm different now. That was 5 years ago. You know what I mean? And you've got to talk, and that's the key. You have to constantly be in communication. You have to constantly be talking. Don't take anything for granted. Don't assume. Not saying I've never done it, because it happens. We're human, but that's the key. I mean, she knows when I'm recording this. She's right outside. We just had an argument. We didn't talk for like a day, and every time we tried to talk, it was a blow up. But we finally got to a point where we sat and we heard each other. She heard where I was coming from, and vice versa. And I understand some things that, quite frankly, went back. We're talking back to the beginning, So she went back 16 years. She's like, when you acted like this, that set the tone for everything else. And I was like, damn, like I was a kid then. You know what I mean?
Receipts.
Yeah. Oh, she got receipts.
We keep receipts.
She got receipts. She got the archives. She was like, oh, word? You remember this?
Yeah, like it sounds like communication is key, and and you're in a marriage. It's not, it's you have to figure it out.
Yeah.
How do you fight fair in a relationship? So you're arguing, but you also want to be fair.
Yeah.
And how do you do that?
That's important. That's really important. You just got to know. We all know what our buttons are. Mm. The thing that you could say that's just going to set the other person off, and it's like, don't go there. And not to say unless it's warranted. It's almost never warranted. But I mean, I think stick to the topic. Stick to what's happening. If there are other circumstances that made you react or feel a certain way, fair to bring those in. But I think just keep it above the belt. We all talk about receipts. We've known each other a long time. If you've been in a relationship for over a couple of years, some dirt. Right. Mm-hmm. So don't be ready to drop that A-bomb. You got your finger on the button. Like, go ahead, say something. Say, I did. I'm gonna tell your cousin you stole his sneakers. I know. I'll say it right now. Like all he did was leave the toilet seat up. That wasn't necessary.
I'm totally on board with that advice, actually. And I think that advice transcends even friendships too. Like, the longer you know people, the more you've got the dirt on them. So
right,
use that dirt appropriately.
Right.
And you don't need to hurt the people you love, really.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's the thing.
You don't need I've got. Let me see if I can squeeze one or two more questions in.
Yeah, I got time. Let's go for it.
Do you think that, so this came directly, as is from our Instagram audience. Do you think it's wrong that your partner does not expend the same energy on their spouses as they do on others? And what she said was, my husband says I'm needy because I demand the same energy as he spends on other people. Mm-hmm. That was a big side, Calvin.
Yeah. I mean, I need a little context, but I can say in broad headlines, if you're spending more time with other people, whether that be virtually on social or otherwise than your spouse, there's an issue there.
Yeah.
There's an issue there. I will say I'm very much an extrovert. And it took a long time for me to realize how introverted my wife is because of the nature of her job. She does a lot of talking. And over the course of years, I realized, like, hey, let's go out to this party or barbecue or whatever. And she would never want to go. And it took a long time to realize at work, she can kind of zone in, almost like acting, right? Like she's in a mode. But other than that, she's very much introverted. And me being that way, the minute she goes away, the minute when she's had to travel for work, I'm on the phone calling everybody I haven't hung out with in 6 months because I don't want to be by myself. I want to hang out with people. I want to talk to people. And it wasn't until that started happening that I realized how much of that void she fills. As much as I always want to be with people, I always want to be talking to people. When she's here, I don't need any of it. I can just sit and talk to her, be with her all day, 24/7. And that's how it's been throughout the whole pandemic. I mean, we've both been at home and we haven't been apart for more than a couple hours, right? I'm not sick of it at all, So I think if you've got the right person, that's who you likely should be spending most of your time with. I actually do have an example of a friend of mine who he was married years ago. I think he probably was in his late 20s when that happened. And he gets married, and this guy is at the bar every weekend. Like like his wedding was today. Next week, he's at the pub with his boys, and his wife's not there. Come to find out, of course, you see people on social. Like 6 months later, he was divorced, and it's like those two people aren't going in the same direction. Those two people aren't doing the same thing. Now he's married to somebody else who goes to the pub with him. So there you go, right? But if if you want to be spending time with your boys as opposed to your wife, you probably got an issue.
Also, I was thinking this Instagram follower that sent that message to us, her husband, if you ask him, their ways of expressing love could be different. For her, she needs the quality time, but for him, he may have hoovered, cut the grass, done all the errands, and for him is, I've shown her I love her, I'm present, there it is, and the rest of the time he's doing something different.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
But he's not doing something different though. He's spending the time with other people.
Yeah, but
rather
I guess
than her.
But for him, sorry, let me just wrap
actual
up.
fire.
We have run out of time. So,
No.
Keysha, what do you want to connect?
I was like, y'all look real calm.
Nah.
If I don't stop them, they'll keep on talking. So Keysha, you need to tell us what we need to do.
We do.
No, let's roll, man. I got
Keysha,
plenty
did you
of time.
ask all the questions?
I've got one more question, and I actually would like Rasheeda to finish that point.
She's making a great point.
Yeah.
Oh my God, my head is too big now. Yeah. So the point I was trying to make is if you ask the guy, he was showing love, or he could be showing love in a completely different way that the wife is blind to. For her way of wanting her partner to show her love is sitting next to her and holding her hand and watching Netflix. For him, it could be something completely different. So I mean, I'm not married or anything, but it could be a communication breakdown where she has to communicate to him like, I need you to show me love by sitting next to me and spending time with me.
So last question, guys, before we actually do rapid fire. Otherwise, this would literally be the longest rapid fire on record because it started when the buzzer went.
Just go ask the question.
But okay, let's just ask the question.
At this point, I would like to point out that I'm not the one doing rapid fire.
This is like rapid fire back in the Civil War when the guy used to
No.
take 30 seconds to reload.
Yep.
Calvin, what do you think? What causes men to cheat or get into marriages in which they don't respect the relationship of their partner? And this also came directly from socials.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a lot of reasons. I think the majority of them are internal to that individual. I think we all have so much baggage that we bring in from childhood, things we've seen, things being glorified. Some guys think that's cool. And if you're around other people that think that's cool, next thing you know, you're starting to do it and not realizing that this isn't even who you actually are. Right. I will say, because, and not just because I'm here with ladies, it's almost never the woman's fault. It's almost never really anything she's doing. It's more on the guy dealing with some things in a way that isn't healthy. It's kind of like, you're dealing with something, you start doing drugs or alcohol or something like that. It's that type of a thing where you think that you're justified in doing it, but really it's because you haven't worked something out. I think also what we started out with at the top, I think if you don't respect the woman from the beginning, you don't see her as a partner, you see her as somebody to be submissive and whatever. Yeah. You're coming into it with this thing that this person is less than. So I do what I want, but you're here to take care of my kids, cook, clean, whatever. If you're going into it with that, then that's likely to happen. That I will say is, women shouldn't allow themselves to be treated like that from the jump.
Boom.
If you have respect for yourself, then no guy could make you be submissive or act some or treat you like that. So, you know, I think a lot of women, a lot of people, period, end up in relationships where that happens. I mean, sometimes it does happen the other way, and a lot of guys won't say that. A lot of guys are scared to death of their wife, you know what I mean? And they're the ones treated, you know, you shut up, right? You know, you be submissive, you do whatever, and that happens too. And you know, women out there cheating too, you know.
Yeah.
Probably not as much as dudes, but it happens. I think ultimately, if you don't have respect for your spouse, you know, this is the result. And if you're dealing with something, because I mean, sometimes it's as simple as peer pressure. As stupid as that sounds, when you're talking about grown ass men, you know, you got dudes that are out there and like, yo, I'll give you a great example. Actually, I just remembered. I went to Vegas a few years ago, and we're in a nightclub, and there's
your wife's listening, by the way.
Yeah, she knows. She knows. You want to talk about communication? I don't keep any. She knows all the stories. So I'm in Vegas it's actually at a work conference, and we're in a nightclub, and you know, you got the cocktail waitresses with everything hanging out, and there's this one guy, he keeps nudging me. He's like, yo, check it out. Oh my God, we got it. I'm like, dude, like, I'm not here for that, man. Like, okay, I saw it. I recognize it for what it is. I respect it, appreciate it. I've moved on, right? Like, I'm not going any further than that. It's like, you go ahead, but you as a man, you have to know where you're willing to go. And I always tell my wife, you know, she says, well, if you respect me, then you won't do it. If I respect myself, I don't want to be viewed that way.
Yeah.
I don't want anybody looking at me saying, oh, Calvin is out here looking at this. And I never want my name in that nonsense. So it's me first, then it's you. Because if I put it all on you, well, I respect my wife. The minute you're upset, the minute you feel disrespect, then you're like, hey, you know what? Then maybe I will. But is that the guy you want to be?
Okay, rapid fire now. This for real.
Oh, okay.
For real this time.
Okay.
Okay. So the rapid fire question is like, it has 3 options. You need to pick one option, ladies. One. Okay. Okay. And it's very simple. What do you think is the best way to a man, or for you, Calvin, or woman's heart? Is it buying gifts? Option 1. Option 2, pandering to his ego or her ego. Or 3, cooking. And I'll ask Ribi first.
I don't think it's any of those options.
Oh, okay.
But if I had to pick one of the 3, by process of elimination, it's not pandering, because that's not going to get you anywhere.
Okay.
What was the first one?
Buying gifts.
It's not buying gifts.
Okay.
So
Cooking.
It'll be food. Of the 3, I would go for food, not the other 2.
Okay. Rasheeda, if you're dying to tell us what your option is, go ahead.
I think I'll choose gifts for one reason, because my love language, the way I show love to my friends is gift, or to anybody is buying gifts. So I guess that's a way of me showing love to him. But the option of pandering to ego, God, my brain is hurting. Cooking, as Crystal said, the submissive thing is her trigger. For me, is cooking. When you meet someone and the question is, do you cook? Can you cook? I don't care how cute you are. Even if you look like Idris, I'm just like, cancel.
Wait. Hold on. Dudes are asking that on dates now, like this early on.
Yeah.
Do you cook?
Yes. Can you cook?
No.
It's either can you cook, or do you want to come over to mine and so you can cook a meal for me? And I'm like, no.
But then that's telling you that that's the best way to a man's heart. It's not saying you should do it. That's just answering.
Well, listen, that was going to be my answer. As soon as you said food, I was like, word, yeah, hook me up.
Like, telling you now.
I'll definitely take the food, but at no point did I ever ask my wife, yo, can you cook? It's not that important. We could go out.
Calvin, that's what we're seeing here in the streets, man. That's what
Crystal, it's rough out there.
It's rough.
I'm a feeder, so I'll just cook.
Oh, okay.
There we go.
And she's a good cook as well.
I am.
Okay.
What's the
All
best thing you make?
I think
Ooh,
I hate to say it, but I think pandering to ego.
gosh.
I think you can charm your way out of it.
If that was the best way to manipulate a guy, I would agree. But it's not about manipulate though. So I don't know. I jury's out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Calvin asked a question just now.
Yeah, I asked Crystal, what's the best thing that she makes?
Oh my God.
I can tell you.
Okay, tell
Rice
me.
and peas with goat curry.
Oh yeah, I do make a mean goat curry.
She made a massive bowl for me one time. I think it was enough for 5 meals, or maybe, about 5 meals. I'm ashamed to admit, I think I ate it in 2. Honestly.
Well, listen, I mean, not to be one of them guys, but when I come to London, when you making me some
I got you, Calvin.
Yeah.
I got you.
Oh, it's been great having you here, Calvin. It's been such
it's been a great time.
With a very interesting perspective from a married man, so that's
yes.
Thank you for answering.
A good married man.
Yes,
the kind of married man we want to hear from.
Thank you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And my takeaways from all the things you told us is basically to pick your partner carefully, as in pick someone who respects you, respect themselves, pick someone that you get along with and can communicate properly with. I think that's those are the takeaways from what you've described to us.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you got to picture yourself at 80 years old when you're not out there doing a whole lot, and what do you want? Like, y'all not going to look the same, so it can't be looks. Maybe an 80-year-old could cook, okay, so the food will still be important, but you're going to be sitting there talking to the person. And that's what it is. If you can't just sit around and spend time and enjoy that, then I don't know. I mean, you got the wrong person.
Yeah.
Actually, where can we find you, Calvin?
Yeah.
Yes. If you want to hear from other evolved married men like myself, you can catch us on the Midlife Crisis Podcast. We are available everywhere: Spotify, Apple, Stitcher, you name it. So check us out. And those of you seen the video, you can get some merch. Look how good we look.
Yeah,
MidlifeCrisisPodcast.com.
Nice.
Very nice. And I've listened to some episodes of the podcast as well. It's really good.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Yeah. Actually, if you guys have a couple minutes, I did want to bring up something because I listened to one of your episodes as well. And you guys made a really, I thought it was a really interesting conversation. I was talking to myself in the car. That's how good it was. It was the episode you guys were talking about speed dating, and you guys did the Zoom, and then somebody he didn't even have his camera on, and okay.
Oh my God, yeah. I only just purged that memory from my head.
Something came up in that episode where one of you said you were dating a guy that was half Nigerian, half white. But
I think Rasheeda.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And he didn't like he said he didn't like Nigerian food because it was stinky or something like that.
Yeah, I think it was more like he was trying to be more white than black. Like he assumed or he thought or felt like he was white.
Right. And he was half, he was mixed.
Yeah.
So one thing that crossed my mind, because I mean you could be 100% right, and he just maybe, thinks he's too good or whatever. But the other thing is, because he's mixed and he's not 100% either, he doesn't know where he fits.
Yeah.
And that's something I can relate to, because my family's from the Caribbean. My parents are from Trinidad, but I'm born in the US. But at the same time, every summer we went home to my family. Most of my family is still there. So I kind of had this dual upbringing, this dual culture upbringing.
Right.
But I'd never felt totally of either one, because I didn't grow up as a typical American. I ate curry, roti, everything, and we listened to soca in the house, and that's just who I am. But I'm also not 100% Trini. You can't tell them that I'm Trini. You know what I mean? But I have a strong enough sense of character where I was like, you're not going to tell me who I am. I know who I am. I'm both. Okay.
You did an episode about that, actually. So,
I mean, I am who I am, right? When I'm around my family, my accent comes out. Is it going to sound like somebody who grew up there and lived there their whole life? Of course not. But that's who I am. I'm not putting on a front.
Exactly.
But what crossed my mind with that guy is like, he just may not have had that strong enough sense of character. So maybe Nigerians rejected him because he looks white or he acts white. I've been told that too. I act white. I don't act black enough. I don't care. At some point you hear that enough, and at some point you're just like, you know what? I clearly I'm not going to please everybody. I know who I am. This is who I am. Take it or leave it. He just may not have been at that point, or he may never get there, but that could be why he kind of rejected the Nigerian part, because they didn't accept him.
Yeah, that makes sense, actually. As in, I don't think I ever thought of it in that from that perspective, because I actually met him in Nigeria first before I moved here. So he grew up in Nigeria. So in my mind, I'm just like, you're mostly Nigerian anyway. But as you've said, his Nigerian experience would be so different to mine, because he was kind of light skinned and he had mixed race hair. So I guess you're all right.
So he probably had a bunch of people telling him that, you're not really Nigerian. I mean, when I hang out with my cousins accept me because we're family. But like when I would go out with him and like his friends, they wouldn't even talk to me. They didn't want to shake my hand or whatever, because they're already like, oh, look at this guy trying to put up a front and try to be one of us, So there's a lot of hate that comes from that. There's a lot of, and if he grew up there and dealt with that, I might have been the same way. If I was born there and moved to America and whatever, or had a half American family and dealt with that, I'd probably be like, yo, fuck y'all.
That makes sense, actually.
This is a whole
perspective, right? You just never know else's narrative. So true. Yeah.
Okay. So thank you everyone for listening to the Talking Single podcast. I hope you enjoyed the episode. And as usual, thanks for joining us.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Talking Single podcast. We hope you enjoyed this week's episode. We'd love to hear from you, so please follow us on Instagram, Facebook or Twitter with the handle @TalkingSinglePodcast. You can also send us comments or questions with the hashtag @TalkingSinglePodcast. We are downloadable on Apple Podcast, Google Play, Spotify and other podcast platforms. Don't forget to subscribe, leave us a great review, and of course, share with your family and friends. Take care and see you next week. Same time, same place.